head, not my husband. I called my husband first by mistake. No, I don't think he would have the patience.
All right, we're gonna roll call Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Schulte.
Here.
Mr. DeBoer.
Here.
Mr. Vanderbilt. Here. And I am here. Approve the January 26th agenda.
The only thing I have to change is Bright Beginnings can't come today. They have a staff shortage and Holly has to be in the class, so
Okay.
that has to be deleted.
Did they present something or send something?
No, I'm trying to get her in on the 1st or the 8th to talk to the board, so.
Yeah, they struggle with that again.
Make a motion on the agenda with the 10:30 item deleted.
Motion and support, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. January 25, 22 minutes. Everybody get a chance to look at those? Any corrections or additions? Motion
And support it.
and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Do you want to do that Heartland deal last? Or do you want-
Probably,
Okay.
because there's gonna be time scheduled.
All right.
for this, so.
And I guess Kevin is up, I guess.
All right,
Which I better find you in there.
I'm assuming you have
Yeah,
my
I did.
budget in front of you, there's not, try to increase it as little as possible, so most of it increases just came from wages again. Everything else I gonna try to maintain at least where we're at.
I found you, it was keep finding the sheriff.
Yeah,
Slowly back.
oh, I think you're on the jail.
You're too far.
Right ahead of San
Jail,
Diego.
yeah, that's it, that's it.
Oh, it's the sheriff.
Yeah, it's jail, yep.
They did change what the form is, there's
No, it's the same, it's just, I just did general basic and real basic instead of public safety. And you got 2 different sons I'm working with this week. This is just a jail and a uniform patrol, but.
Anybody got any questions on anything?
We gonna talk about the software, change research, something about that, or?
All about
This one?
Yeah. Or not?
that Carvel, is that his name? Is that something that your office needs to? Would that be better if?
can I actually say it's a need? Probably not, no. And I have no idea how it all goes along with it, what needs to be done, how it's gonna affect our office, but, I mean,
How does that compare to this TAC?
our TAC 10?
Yeah.
Our TAC 10 is, that's pretty much our operating system, that does our incident reports, arrest reports, does all of our jail stuff.
But I know you were trying to incorporate that into the cars too or something?
Yeah,
or-
and we have done that. Because all the cars now, with the laptop computers, they have that TAC-10 software on that. So the deputies can fill out their logs, they can do their incident reports, arrest reports, right from inside their car.
So would this be a duplication or
That
a rep?
I have no idea exactly what this all entails.
It would not be a duplication, it would be essentially the next stage of it. In other words, you know, they have cars, that's what's in their patrol vehicles, essentially, in general terms. You move reports and things over into tax, and that's how things are kind of finalized, is my understanding, we're talking at a very general level. The next step for us in terms of this pipeline of moving information in terms of criminal work is Carpel. That's how you port information in the most efficient and up-to-date fashion from your police agencies to your prosecuting authority to the courts and defense attorneys for discovery. This is a logical follow-on from that, and what I think, and not to take words out of Kevin's mouth, but put words in his mouth more properly, you know, they're working on something that digitizes their processes and makes them more efficient. This is the next step in that in terms of how you move information to my office and beyond in the process. And it avoids things like me having dozens of DVDs burned every, well, not dozens a month, say, you know, a dozen or so a month, having to use those, take up space on my hard drive on my computer to download body cam videos, putting evidence on memory sticks and giving it to defense counsel, spending money on that, taking the time it takes to move files. All of this can be digitized, and we can have one portal at the sheriff's office, which eliminates the need to print reports, send reports, put videos on discs. Right now, we have a system whereby we get sent a link to download a body cam video from WatchGuard, which is all fine and good, but the issue is that we need storage capacity on our physical hard drive for that, because we don't have the space on our mainframe, if you will, here on our IT infrastructure. Carpel takes that problem away because we can just put that on the cloud, it's encrypted, it's secured, and then on the other side of things, when it comes to booking videos, we're in a situation in which the sheriff's office currently has to burn that video to a DVD and give us that video. If we have Carpel, that can just be dragged and dropped from the portal into our cloud, so we have it. We're not burning a DVD, we're not using a DVD, we're not then taking that DVD video and putting it on a memory stick for defense counsel or for the judge to look at. So, it's not a duplication, it's the next step in the chain.
So I guess my question for you, Nolan, is, okay, then part of this cost you want to come from my budget.
Not necessarily, if that's an option, I guess.
I guess, can you tell me, how is this going to help my office? What's it gonna do for me?
What it does for you is that you don't have somebody in your office printing things off, burning DVDs, putting things on memory sticks, and dealing with the time cost it takes to do all of that. I mean, printing things off and putting them in people's boxes for them to pick up and carry over is inherently less efficient than moving files on a computer. Same thing with burning disks. That takes more time, generally speaking, than just transferring something to a cloud computing software. Same thing with putting videos on memory sticks that we have to bring over, pick up, do this, do that with. Similarly, you have officers who print off reports and send them to me, or they have to email them to me. You can centralize this all into one portal, and just because we have just one portal doesn't mean that more than one of your deputies can't have access to it. So there's no more carrying paper around, there's no more printing paper off, there's no more I need another copy of this or that thing because the download link expired and we have a new attorney on the case. It all just goes into a cloud file and it sits there and there's records kept of it. It reduces duplication, it reduces time with paper traffic, it reduces time with burning DVDs, which, you know, once upon a time that was very helpful and quite advanced, but this is now, you know, we're moving into a decade of being in a place where DVD burning isn't quite the up-to-date solution. And, you know, it took me a while to wrap my head around the idea that having encrypted cloud software that stores things is a more efficient way of doing things. But I think that is the best route for all of us. Will there be growing pains? Sure. Not going to gloss over that. But this is a more efficient solution for the volume of data we have to manage. You know, when I was here yesterday, we talked about how much more volume we have. Imagine if your guys weren't printing stuff off, or burning DVDs, or having to put stuff on memory sticks and fill up the county attorney box, and instead it all just went digitally. as it came in. That's kind of the net benefit here.
What would that law enforcement portal add-on cost?
It's $2,500, that's in that budget. Do you have that sheet in front of you?
Yeah, well, I just don't see.
Then you got the annual maintenance costs as well. I mean, I don't know why everybody keeps.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it, okay.
Yeah, and it's
$500
$500.
annually, what do we pay for tax 10? I guess to me, this
They
seems
pay,
like,
it's $8,000 a year, Jason, just for the attorney's office, for maintenance for that program. For fees, license fees, portal access, and everything else.
You got
okay,
it.
what is the,
Like,
what is the
yeah,
annual,
they stand out.
what's the annual fee for tax 10?
Jason, do you have this? I don't have that number, I have no idea what that number is right now.
Okay, so that seems to be a reasonable annual expense for a sheriff's office and for deputies to record what has happened. This seems like a logical next step for communication between that office and the attorney's office so prosecution can occur. And,
Well, it's the sheriff's office. If he wants to use that program, that's up to him whether or not he wants to do it. And if he doesn't see a need for it, you can't make him do it.
I'm not asking, and no one was suggesting it's an option. I think the $500 annually to have a portal at the sheriff's office is a reasonable expense within the scope of what's being considered.
I think it just sounds like poor time management on the county attorney's side of things, and that's
Okay,
everything
so-
from.
This is not at
You're
all the
looking for
case.
an easy way, let me finish. And you're looking for an easy way to do this. Well, if everything's working okay on the sheriff's end, and he doesn't see the need for it and doesn't wanna do it, and no one wants to do it, well, it doesn't work unless the sheriff wants to do it. So that conversation should have been hashed out, and everybody came to an agreement before saying, yeah, I wanna buy this software that it's only gonna work if both of us agree to do.
It's just not accurate that it's just poor time management. We're operating at greater volume than we ever have before. We're moving more cases.
No, and I'm not even gonna get into your court time management, your inability to manage your caseloads. And that's a lot of the problem up there, and you can
Okay.
agree or disagree
Ed,
with it,
you-
whatever, but.
You've leveled that accusation plenty, saying it's
Take
poor
your
time
time,
management,
hey,
saying it's poor time management.
Hold on,
Take
guys.
your time, take your time, go down to the circuit court's office, take your time to go look at one online, and start looking at the cases and how they were pled down and how they were dismissed. Don't give me that, you leveled whatever. You take the time to go look it up, come up with a.
Share that with me, gladly, but I've asked him, what can we do to address these
Take the
concerns,
time
and
to
this is
do
what he's presenting. Saying, do a better job, isn't reasonable to say, well, that's gonna improve things.
Yeah, it is reasonable to say, yes, do a better
Okay.
job, and that will make things better. If you
You're-
can do better time management, not get things kicked out for lack of speedy trial, and quit doing continuous, and plea it out, because I don't know why you need the software to continue to plea all that stuff out. Everything that's submitted to the court comes in on, already provided free.
That's not accurate. That is not accurate either, and what you are saying is not accurate. I am asking for something that is reasonable to do my job, and I am working harder than I ever have before, as is my legal assistant. You are leveling false accusations. All I'm asking for is a reasonable accommodation to make my office work better.
It's not reasonable, and neither one of you had the experience to manage that office. And it has been painfully clear for the last 5 years. I mean, it'd be one thing if you were taking things to trial, and that's why you were burning up all your time and you needed this extra software, but you're not. Everything gets pled out or pled down.
Not accurate.
Well,
Yes, it is.
We're working on
Prove me
it.
wrong.
We're working on the jail right now. Kevin, are you at all opposed or inclined to, that's, I guess, our question here today.
These type of decisions I bring to Brenda and some of my administration staff.
Yeah,
We discussed this cartel
yeah.
with them. They're all in the consensus that we probably won't benefit, my office won't benefit that much.
Okay, that's a question for the jail. I don't know, if you guys wanna discuss this anymore, Jason?
I think it's a poor approach to say, things aren't going well, you need to just do better. If this is a step that can get us there, if TAC 10 was a way to get the officers to get their information into the system differently and more efficiently, this seems to be the same thing. The only concern to me is make sure that you can transfer stuff from TAC 10 to this Cartel portal. I don't know how it could not help.
And that would be a big question, can we be able to transfer stuff from TAC 10 to this?
And I think there's been some struggle getting everybody on board the TAC 10 too.
Well,
hasn't it?
and the reason being is,
I'm not,
these are complicated systems.
Yes.
And not just everybody computer savvy can just pick up and do it. Another thing is sometimes we just have a piss poor internet problem and stuff doesn't download or upload properly, or it just takes a long time for it to happen. So, and I don't know whose issue that is, but, that's always a concern too, that stuff just, it can't happen quick enough.
Is there something we should be looking at on that?
We tried that, we called Premier, and then Premier says, your internet and Wi-Fi issue, that's a problem with our IT people, Mainstay. Mainstay says, no, that's not our problem, that's Premier's problem, so that's where we're stuck.
Just a question.
Sometimes we can't even, you go online to watch a video or something, and you can't even watch it, because it won't download.
Well, I think we have Kevin's 2 cents. We know yours, Nolan. Everybody's all good. We can discuss it later.
And if I had a number from Nolan, exactly how much it's gonna cost me.
I think the number is 2,500 if it comes out of your budget, but realistically, we talked yesterday about options for funding this. Like I said, I'm more than willing to use money from my county attorney incentive fund to fund this. I encourage the board to consider what Lyon County did, using the Coronavirus American Rescue Program money to fund part of it, because it allows for off-site coronavirus-style accommodation to work. I think there's multiple funding sources that this could come from. If $2,500 had to come out of Kevin's budget for this, that would be understandable, but at the same time, I think it would also be a decent funding option to explore ways to do this that wouldn't require money from his budget and wouldn't put a cost on him, and for this to be something that, whether it be funded from my county attorney incentive money in part or other funding sources, would make this something where this was an accommodation that was done to benefit my office and facilitate communication between our offices. I don't think money necessarily has to come out of Kevin's budget.
Yeah, I don't know, just looking at it, I think it would probably be, if it came out of your budget, it would be $2,500 initial, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, $500 a month.
A year.
Excuse me, a year, yeah.
But then you got the $1,700 hosted license fee, you got the $1,000 interface support, the $5,000 project flat fee every year,
Okay,
and that annual portal fee, so it's not just $500.
yeah, I'm not a computer whiz, so I don't know.
That's not been requested to come from Kevin's budget. The attorney has that in their budget.
But if he adds those things and you have to set up another service in his office, he's gonna have to pay those annual costs too.
No, this quote shows the law enforcement portal initial cost and annual fee. The quote is to have it set up initially with the first years of support, and then the next line shows the annual support.
This bid doesn't have anything put in it for the sheriff's office.
Yes, it does. It includes what's required. This is the quote I received that includes the services that are required to get this service up and running, and it includes the subsequent follow-on costs. There is nothing to my knowledge that is not included in this quote that would be an additional law enforcement cost unless we require an additional portal, and at the size of our respective operations, I don't believe that to be true. So I believe this quote to be complete and accurate at the time it was transmitted to me.
But we don't need
But
that.
who's paying the $8,200 a year? Which budget is that coming out of?
That would need to come most likely out of my budget in subsequent years. Or it would need to be paid for from an additional funding cost. Mike asked me yesterday to look up how much money we collected in fines this past year. From the December Excel spreadsheet I received from the Attorney General's office, it appears that we collected a net of $7,400 in fines this past year. However, we don't get to keep all of that because of the funding formula. We'll probably end up keeping somewhere approximately half of that. Those kind of things, if we have the ability to have greater efficiency and collect more funds, It defray the cost of this. I'm not gonna say it's gonna pay for the whole thing, but it makes this more affordable.
We don't have to do the sheriff end of this, do we?
You don't have to, but
I
that's
mean,
what makes it
Kevin's
much
gotta
more
be willing
efficient.
to, his staff has to be willing to, and I'm not gonna force them.
Well, and nobody's talking about forcing Kevin or his office to do anything. I think that there's an opportunity to do this, to purchase the entire package and see how this goes. I think that we'll find that this is a much greater efficiency for everyone, and even if law enforcement, say, doesn't decide they want to use every feature that Carvel offers, there's still things that I think are kind of a no-brainer, like videos. If they don't want to put every report or every criminal history or every piece of paper on Carvel, then you know what, so be it, that's fine. But there's things like videos that are much easier to transfer via the cloud than anything else would be, and that's just one part of Carvel. Again, yeah, this primarily does benefit my office, but I think it has benefits for everyone we work with. You know, like we talked before about the clerk's office. The clerk's office is adding someone else because they're so busy. This also helps the clerks when we file stuff. It makes their lives easier. So, you know, we're not the only ones who benefit here.
But I think first we ought to make sure that the sheriff's office, their computer system will work with it.
But it will work with it because it's not just a question of TAC 10, it's a question of moving files that are on a computer. They don't just have to be in TAC 10. All they have to be is on the computer and they can be loaded into this portal. It doesn't work well, and I talked to Jessica Trobaugh, who's the ISAC basically liaison for this, and it's not about your specific program. They work so that it's compatible with all Microsoft systems as well as Apple, and as long as it's on your computer, you can load it into the cloud via this portal. And then we have it, defense counsel can have it, the judges can have it, et cetera.
Well, let's,
So it still boils down to whether or not Kevin's staff wants to use that program. And if they don't want to use that program and they're fine using whatever they got, then there's really no point in pushing it. And just because you don't
I
want
think
to
it's
use
Kevin.
have a memory stick from there, doesn't really, you know, that's not a good argument for why I need this.
I'm not convinced either way, so I'd like a little time to think about it.
Yep.
That's just my thought.
All right.
Is this the time and place to bring up one other issue
Sure.
about nothing to do with budgets or Carvel at all? Okay, Friday night, we had an accident at Clickstar, which didn't take long. Anyway, been hearing some wording out there and everything about, safety-wise out there with that intersection. Couple of issues, maybe talk with Mike about it. Adding lights out there at the intersection maybe. And also, as you're coming across the bridge there, kind of a warning sign that says, you know, intersection ahead or something like this. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic out there, especially when there's games going on. And so it's,
We'll talk to you guys later about this.
with a lot of traffic out there, it's gonna become a safety issue. So it's something, you know, maybe Michael Connor can do a little research and study on it about signs or whatever.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the state would have to be involved in it, because part of that was with the state.
Yeah, so, but anyway, so.
Even slow them down coming from the east.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
All right.
I don't have a big problem with that, or whatever it is, but I'd like to be convinced.
Here. Yeah, well, I'm not, not sure either.
Steven?
Good morning. All right, I guess you're up.
Make it fairly quick, because we don't have a lot of changes we're making. Let's see, let me get the pages right here. The salary, or the wage increase, I put 6% when I talked to Michelle, and that's what it came with. Pretty much everything stayed the same, except we took out well permits, because as we talked about earlier, I visited with you earlier, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're still keeping $3,000 for receipts for septic systems, and well closures have pretty much all that stuff's kind of guesswork, and we're just kind of keeping it the same. The money's there from the state. So if anybody's got any questions on that, I think we had 25,000 for well closures. I don't see us getting up to that amount, but I think the state actually has $40,000 available to us. So,
What was it you were gonna eliminate, you said?
the well permits,
Or revenue.
the revenue permit. I think you were gone, Jerry, but I came in here and the state put a bunch of new requirements on it, and it required us to do ordinances and all that stuff, and for the few that we do, it just really doesn't make sense. I will say this, and this is for information, the septic permits, I put down for, I think, 20 of them again, that could increase. I went to a meeting a week ago, and some of the federal funds that came to the state, they are allocating to fixing up septic systems. And they've targeted 2 areas of our county as of now. One's Allendorf and one's May City. So I'm in the process of gathering, some have already been replaced, especially in May City, but there's quite a few that haven't. And so I'm in the process of gathering the information, the addresses, the names, and I will be sending letters to these people in Allendorf and May City that these funds will be available. And I think I have 14 in May City that have to be updated yet as of yet, and 5 in Allendorf.
So they will go with the new drain field then, is that what they'll?
Any type of system that's needed to work. I mean, some of them, the property is tight to put in a drain system.
Yeah.
So, I think some have already started with the applications, but I'm gathering, and I want to draft a letter and send it to them all individually that they are eligible. So that could affect our income as far as septic permits go, but I'm thinking if there's 19 of them, I'm not sure they're all going to get done in this year anyway. So, but the state set parameters for what the first go around was for targeting, and that was Allendorf and May City.
Okay. Will they expand on that?
I think they could, but when, I don't know. You know, you're dealing with the states. But yes, and there's some other areas, to me that, okay, you got the Cloverdale area that could be next, you know, and even going out north of town here, where Dr. Berkman's and stuff are.
Sure.
They're trying to first identify areas with multiple building sites on them, so that's their first go-around. I'm not sure where it's going to end, because I'm not sure how much money's there and how much is good. They don't know how much is going to be used. So, anyway, that's my budget. Pretty straightforward. So if there's any questions.
Anybody got anything? Yeah, do you have anything?
Nope.
I'll let you catch up in time.
All right, yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
Yep.
See you at noon, or 12:30. Here's your, print out your budget.
Okay, I got it,
Okay.
but that was
Okay.
fine, and I made the notes, so thank you. Good morning.
Yes, you're up.
Okay. So on the revenue side, what we put in is, the 2 grants that flow through the county that we know of for this next year, and that will be our immunization grant And we don't have exact amounts yet because the legislators are still in session and they never finalize anything until the end of the session. So I'm just going off of our amounts from last year, which is what they tell us to do. That's what Diane lets us know. So, $7,000 for immunization services and local public health services. Our local public health grant would be the $27,508. So those would be,
Do I need to change that, since I don't have that? I have 6870 for immunization and the local health is 26,834.
well,
For protected revenues, right?
You got it on here.
Oh, am I in the wrong, maybe I'm in the wrong fiscal year? Oh. Okay, yep, I'm sorry, I was in the wrong fiscal year.
okay, no worries.
Just keep my mouth shut.
Or just call your husband.
So yeah, late in FY '21, we had a lot of amendments and a lot of additional funding due to COVID, as everybody else did. And some of those funds carried over into FY '22, so we are still using those COVID dollars. We have Amendment 7 and Amendment 8 that will end March 31st, which is kind of a different time frame. Usually usually our budget, or our grants are on a fiscal year, but those two pots of money will end March 31st, and so we will use all of Amendment 7, and we're tracking that. Amendment 8 is designated specifically as a health equity fund, and we were allocated $83,000, and there's just no way we'll ever use that before March 31st. But the other amount we will use. So what I'm saying is, once March 31st is here and those funds are gone, then whatever COVID activity will get shifted to county funds. So then we go to expenditures. And I did go ahead and budget the $125,000 for general basic from the county. You folks did increase that last year. I don't believe we will use all that money because we've had these other amendments and these other funds available to us. However, like I said, a couple of those are done in March, and so March, April, May, and June, we'll have 3 months of COVID activity and whatever that we will shift to county dollars. But I don't believe we will use our full $125,000. However, I did budget that for next year because I don't know if we will get a lot of these extra COVID dollars next year, starting July 1. And I have no idea of knowing what the COVID activity is going to be. I don't know if we're gonna keep giving shots 12 months out of the year, or if we're, if it's gonna become a seasonal thing, or, none of us know that.
Well, what the next strain is gonna be.
Right. But I do know that the last month or 6 weeks has been pretty busy again. With, of course, an increase in cases, and that has prompted a few more people to come in and get their shots. So we're giving a few more people first doses, and we're, obviously giving boosters yet, so.
Will that be a yearly deal? Yeah.
Well, I don't know that, I wish,
Booster.
I don't know. Right now, you can get a booster, 5 months after your second shot, but I don't know, we started giving boosters several months ago.
For a long time.
So now,
Are these boosters and the clinics for these and the administration of that, is that outside normal hours, or is that getting more regulated so you can
no,
do it within
it's
regular hours?
pretty much regulated, yes.
This 25% jump in budgeting, reflected our worst case scenario. How does this vaccine get rolled out, how many extra hours? I guess
Right.
I'd like to consider seeing that brought down some, because we'll likely have some carryover from this year. But if you know, if we don't use the full 125 this year, we
Right.
could always amend the budget to spend more next year. I'm doubtful that we'll see that need or that higher level of need in outside hours, so.
Right, we did.
I'm certainly not against them.
No,
in any way,
I
just think it would be
wasn't sure
reasonable.
either, you know, and, you know, I just don't know, cause you know, we had CARES fund, we had 2 rounds of CARES funding last year. We had a $5,665 allocation, and we had a $42,000 allocation. And we, of course, used all of those, and then this Amendment 7, that one is done March 31st. And so, there's so many unknowns for next year as far as what,
I'd like to see it stay the same.
I would too.
so.
Just-
We
just what
certainly,
you said.
if it's there and we don't need it, you know, we don't use it. I mean, if we
Right,
don't,
well,
so,
Why
I
are
don't
we
know.
taxing our citizens for something
The
we
way.
aren't sure we need? I guess I just don't see why we tax our citizens for an extra $25,000 that we're not sure we need.
Well, we don't know if some of the grants are gonna be there either.
And we don't know what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. But I'd leave it personally.
So. And then my other 2, you know, are just the grants, the immunization grant, and we always use those grants, the public health services and the immunization grant. And last year, we did get an additional $4,900 in the immunization grant too. So there was just a lot of, $4,690 we got extra in immunization. So there was just a lot of little extra pots of money to keep track of and make sure we were billing, and we did. Like I said, this Amendment 8 is the only one that we aren't gonna be able to use, because that's health equity. We just don't have, I mean, we don't have a homeless population, and we don't have some of those populations that are defined in this amendment, so we aren't gonna be able to use that. And many counties across the state aren't gonna be able to use all their money, so. So, you know, it's lots of unknowns, don't know. But I just appreciate your support and your, you know, yeah. It's been a crazy year trying to keep all these different. Got the money straight here, but.
All right, guys, got any other questions?
No, I really have.
Yeah, any questions?
Nope, sounds good.
I really think boosters, I think we're gonna have them every year, just like flu shot.
Yeah,
That's just my thought.
yeah.
And I guess I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how it all,
Plays out.
we hope it becomes somewhat more predictable and organized, you know, like the seasonal flu, we know that that's coming, and we gear up for that in October, and, you know, but this is just an ongoing, you know, and so we pretty much have a clinic every week, and some are bigger than others, but
What percentage do you think you've gotten vaccinated? Any idea?
no, I would say we're still probably at that, you know, maybe 40%.
Really? That's all?
We're seeing more young people, you know, it's slow, but we're seeing, you know, more of that, I would say 35 to 50 age group come in for their shot. Very few kids, you know, we haven't had a lot of kids at all.
And one little girl you're gonna see.
Yep. Yep, so.
Hey, Pam, did you guys run out of that antibody treatment?
You know, Ed, I don't really know, I don't think they've run out. That is really a hospital function, and so they pretty much, order that and keep track of their inventory on that. I know it's very limited, the supplies are very limited.
Gotcha.
but I have no idea, I wouldn't know that they ran out, but, because I do hear of, you know, individuals that are still getting it, but, I think statewide, it's very limited, so. And the testing, you know, is just, you know, our positivity rate has just been really high over the last several weeks. And that is just the tests that are reported, you know, that's just the tests that are done at the hospital and the tests that are mailed in, you know. That doesn't reflect any of the home testing at all, so. Lots of activity, and 3/4 of our staff has had COVID now too, so.
Has had it?
Has had it, yeah, yeah. I got it New Year's Eve day. And, Amy got it the next Tuesday, so our quarantine days overlapped a little bit. That was a little skeleton crew at work.
Were you
And
very
then,
sick?
For about 36 hours, I didn't feel very well, but I turned the corner real fast.
Good.
Yeah, yep. And then Alicia got it, was home all last week, so, and she was by far the sickest of all of us.
What I think is funny is Diane had it, and I never got it.
Oh, I know, nobody got it in my household either.
Yeah, just, I don't understand it.
No.
But then she never got very sick either.
You're just tough.
No, I can't say I was, you know, mostly the body aches and the chills and, fatigue was awful. I've never felt so tired in my life, but,
And
yeah.
Diane said she had a cold worse than that. So I don't know.
So anyway,
But we had our shots.
yep,
Ma'am, appreciate it.
okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
I guess one last question, did the board, public health board approve the budget last year, or not? I was just thinking of that, maybe.
Well, you know,
They had.
we're gonna talk about it today, and I have the annual report ready today, so I don't think so, because it would almost have to be brought to them in November, and then I don't usually have stuff pulled together by then, so yeah.
You mind pulling those minutes?
Pardon me?
Never mind,
Okay,
sorry.
we'll see you at 12:30?
Thanks.
Okay, yep.
Becky's coming too.
Sherman?
Okay. Say hers hasn't changed much.
I don't really have any big changes.
I like your expenditures went down. Your income went down too.
I guess that did go down, yes.
But your income went down, we gotta change it.
Yeah. And of course, my interest went down again.
I don't have any questions for you. Pretty simple. Yeah.
you got anything today?
Not me. Not much that breaks your heart, does it?
No, good.
Ed, do you have any questions? Is he still there?
Ed?
No.
Wake up.
He's still working.
Jace, have anything?
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're up, Deb, take it away.
Sure, thanks.
Get back on schedule.
Wonder like that, there's not a whole lot.
Okay, well, I guess the revenue is pretty much, it's a guessing game. We were way up on documents last year, but don't know what that's gonna be this year. And so a lot of it stayed the same. We're doing a lot of both, so that's coming in. Transfer tax was way up. I left that the same because again, that's a guessing game. And then the ATVs, and so it's, like I said, it's pretty much the same. So, if you have any questions on that? So the expenditures, the first about 5 of them have all to do with the salaries, the insurance, et cetera. Office supplies went up because we're gonna have to order a lot of new things like envelopes, 3 different kinds of envelopes, name stamps, receipts, so that, we up that. And, postage we up because assuming that postage will go up sometime. And right now, we just kind of barely break even on that one. Employee mileage, and we upped that one for upcoming meetings. Phone, I upped a little bit because again, I'm just right at the bottom of the line when it comes to phone at the end of the year. And equipment, I just upped it a little bit, because we are looking at a new calculator, a couple things like that. And user memberships, I upped a little bit because I don't know if they'll up those for the year or not. I haven't been told anything on that yet. So, that's about it. Any questions? No? Okay. So, you're done with me?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Anybody? Jason, got anything? Or what, or anyone? Jason's looking for something.
You're good? Okay, all right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yep, yep.
Really?
I don't know, that's at 10, I don't know if you can go early or not, or...
Want to take a little break?
We'll take a break.
Like you, I know you usually take a break.
I'm not ready yet.
You're not?
No, but I will. Just to make you happy.
Yeah, I never threw up, just up the stomach, and
Just didn't feel
you get the
very-
bathroom, yeah. I didn't think I should share it.
I had that right after New Year's. Mine only lasted 8,
felt better yesterday afternoon, but in the morning I just couldn't be away from the bathroom. So I thought, oh, I just better stay away.
We barely made it without you.
Oh, Andrea, she did fine. Yeah, she does good.
Somebody called 10 to 5 last week, you know,
Oh.
from your office, you know.
Oh, you know, Chantry maybe or something.
I shut my phone off, and I didn't turn it back on, and
I
you notice
should
it's
have
on
done
after.
it or something. I even made bars Monday night, but I thought, ooh, you guys might not want them, so I didn't bring them. I did make them.
Have you been ill, Jason, or not? No?
Good habit, or?
Youngest has an occasional dry cough, I don't know, he's just kinda sensitive to it now, but it doesn't seem to have any other indicators or any
Anything but
consistent
cold, maybe?
trouble, yeah.
Kinda hard to tell what is what.
Yeah, a lot of it's just like a cold, so it's like, how do you know? That's testing.
Could've made a new batch.
I could have, but I didn't feel like it yesterday. My family reaps the benefit of it. I don't hardly bake anything anymore. It's just Kurt and I.
You're thinking of me and my diet. He can't have them, I'm not bringing them.
Allie came home, she's getting her BSN for nursing, so she has to follow home health for 75 hours, so she's working here at home health on her own for days off. So, yeah, she'll be done in May for her BSN, so.
And she still Sioux Falls, right?
Yeah, she's at 2T.
Okay. That's not too bad to have to be driving back and forth then, versus if you're in
No,
Watertown.
yeah, she'll stay here and then, yeah, when she stays off, I guess. They asked her to be in the critical care part of the hospital, but she's gonna wait till after her BSN, because that's classes, 4 classes, so she wants to get her BSN done and then do that, so.
Critical care and Sioux Falls.
She's at a Vera Heart Hospital,
Oh.
so she'll be in the critical care at the heart hospital. Yeah, she got $2 an hour raise, and then they have a bonus, so if you pick up a shift, you get automatic $450.
James.
And there's times that she hasn't left her couch, but she got $450, and then plus she gets time and a half. So, one 12-hour shift pretty much pays for a month's rent.
Wow.
Of course, Uncle Sam's like their little
Yeah,
Not
they'll
bad.
get their share.
She already
you know.
complained about that, she said, my check didn't really change that much, I said, no. Uncle Sam.
Well, she might get back later anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
When I worked for the elevator, I ran a interrogator for them.
So,
I would put 100-hour weeks in. That was when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Jeez, I just felt like her.
Yeah.
Thinking,
all this money.
this is gonna be so wonderful.
Yeah.
It wasn't so wonderful.
No. No. Told her when she gets her taxes done, she was gonna have to talk to her tax man, 'cause she might need to take more out, you know, she's always had school expense to
Sure.
offset it, but she won't have that after,
No.
so I think you need to
Better
talk to them.
come back.
Yeah.
That's always a bad time to be paying into.
How's your mom doing?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, we're struggling a little bit, I think, she won't admit it, but,
You still at home?
yeah. Yeah. Trying to get my brother's house cleaned out. It's just been a challenge. My nephew's buying it February 1st, so we gotta get it cleaned out, so. It's just hard, you know, I got my niece and nephew, we're trying to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, they don't wanna go there, so we're trying to be mindful of them, that someday they might want stuff, so we're just, put a lot of stuff in totes, putting it in the basement, but I was gonna keep it in the basement, just put it in the basement, and then they
Down
can,
the road, you
yeah,
think of
when they're, have their own.
Yeah.
You know, my brother made them both beds, he made his daughter a princess bed, you know, now she doesn't want it, but someday she might have a daughter that might want it and say,
Yes.
oh, this is what my grandpa made, so, you know, that's stuff like that, where,
There's always something.
yeah, so, yeah, so we have room down in the basement, pretty much full of clothes, so that's okay. You know,
So your brother had, how many kids?
Two.
2 kids?
Yeah, Oliver will be 16 in July, and Abby will be 13 in April, so.
Oh.
So, yeah, so,
I should know, are they around or?
Rock Island. You don't get them as like we used to, but no, we do get them, but they're busy too, and Abby's and everything, so.
I always wondered how that worked out when you don't get to see them.
Yeah, you know, they had 50-50 custody, 3-2, she would have them 3 nights, he would have them 2, he would have them 3, she would have them 2, and, you know, he worked in lumber, and so it worked out good, because he could just take them to her house for school
Sure,
or whatever,
yeah.
so. Or he worked at the casino, you know, so that always worked out good. And, Mom and Dad did a lot of running for him too, which was good for Mom and Dad. So, yeah. Seems to be coming on a year here pretty soon, so.
Wow.
Your mom seems to be doing pretty.
Yeah, yeah, I think she's struggling a little bit now, but she'll never admit it, so.
Was it over there at Joe's, Joe Curtis?
Oh, yeah, yeah. But, you know, she never had time to deal with Chad, because they were dealing with her health, her dad's health, or, you know, it's just been, but, she'll get there.
I'm kind of thinking about that deal with no, I'm kind of leaning towards doing it. So otherwise, geez, if we wait another year or whatever, then are we gonna end up spending twice as much money? I don't know, I don't know which way to go with it.
Always gonna be more.
Oh, yeah.
If we do it, that'll be continual.
Oh, yeah, yes, there's,
I'm not against it, I'm mixed with it. I don't gather Kevin's through, but
no.
he doesn't have to, I don't think.
No, and I don't think anything should come from Kevin. I really don't. We still have to sign the bill claims from yesterday.
Yep.
Should we do that?
Can.
We didn't sign it. Nobody gets paid.
Except for us. I don't know if we can afford the big raise we got this year.
We're going down.
Start on, supervisor.
I didn't change much, but I do see I made a mistake. I don't know why, the agriculture, I don't know why I changed that to 98. That must have been, I must have hit the wrong button. That should be 425. I'll get that changed. The salary stayed the same, like in acres, and then I decreased the health insurance as a reduction. Publication costs, I kept, that's for like official, that's for like budget amendments and all that. I kept that the same. I upped board proceedings just a little bit. Very, postage I stayed the same. The district 1, 2, and 3, I kept all that the same. Mileage the same, or training services the same. Miscellaneous, I kept most everything the same, except for, like I said, the health insurance went down, and I didn't know if the board wanted me to up mileage or up registration fees, anything like that.
My mileage is pretty consistent.
It helps take into account.
Yeah.
Something for the revenues, I kept them the same, and then, but I did up the cigarettes, because now we have to start, we got 2 cigarette permits for a year instead of 1. It's $50 a year. So, anything else you want me to change or not, or?
Pretty basic.
Yeah. We run pretty close to that, so.
Everybody, runs a pretty conservative budget.
All right, any questions? Looks good to me.
Keep going, or ours, or my budget keep going, steady.
Or do we have to wait till
I don't know. We could always talk about Heartland if you want to.
And we can jump back up there.
Put that down. I just got this email. I just thought I would share with, you shared with the board. I just thought, I didn't know if the board needed to discuss this or not, or if there's anything we can do, or.
Which I am very happy they're not coming across our ground, because I wouldn't want them.
And they kind of dropped that, the thing, the inlet domain
Yeah.
deal.
Well, I don't think they dropped it yet, have they?
I've not heard that, I don't think so.
There was a lot of discussion.
I thought I heard it on the radio.
I hope you did.
You hope they dropped it?
Well, no, I hope they won't use them for me.
Where I read that, I heard it, I thought that they were gonna, because of, the reason was because of all the people that wanted it, that they would step on too many toes, or whatever you wanna call it, by ruining the whole plan by one person that didn't want it. Just what I heard and read, so I didn't know where I read it.
I'm gonna have to do a little more research on that, because I haven't heard that many people want it, so. Why wasn't that in our Assembly paper?
It might have been from Elijah, because I know he's been doing a lot of stuff on both pipelines. He's been covering for
I don't,
the other one too.
there's nothing, we've already opposed it to eminent domain. I don't know, is there anything else we can do about it?
I don't think so.
I don't think they did put a little on it.
there's anything else we could do, Jason?
Do you know of anything else, Ed, or?
Not that I can think of.
Well, we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
It don't take us too long, does it?
Good, good,
Yeah,
good.
I should have just made it continuous, not had 9 to 5. Ed, I'll send you, we're having a Rescue America meeting on Friday. I'll send you the link for the Zoom call at 1
Okay.
o'clock. Are you gonna be here, or are you just gonna do a Zoom, or?
If I remember,
Okay. Stephanie set up a Zoom call, so I'll send the link out to everybody.
Okay.
I sent the questions already to Jamie Cashman, so he has those ahead of time of the questions that we had, so. I'll answer it yes or no.
Is there room to consider technology upgrades and remote
That's one of
participation
the,
options for the
that's-
boardroom?
what are the questions I have? IT upgrades is what I asked. That's one of the questions. So. There's several everybody had questions from each department, so that's one of them I'm asking for.
Ted, do you have that,
1 o'clock.
you have that wellness in the morning too?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
when's that wellness?
11 or 12:15.
I think I signed up for the 11.
I'm gonna do it too, for you.
You gotta sign up for it?
Yeah, that wellness that we're having on Friday.
Friday, okay.
Yeah,
So
this week.
where you sign up at?
Our office. Our office.
What time are they?
11 and 12:15.
I'll be there, but I'm not for sure what time we're gonna do it.
Kick off our wellness program.
So that way it should be done in time for,
They can do it here, the Zoom call, then I'll just let that TV then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Do that.
Is anybody going to the play?
I'm going for pictures.
What's that?
I'm going for pictures.
Good, I'm glad you guys are going.
I was interested.
I'll make sure I get a bunch of you, okay?
Yeah. I'm not sure I quite get the whole thing yet, but
Yeah,
I'm
and then-
trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
It's really not a play, I shouldn't say it's a play.
yeah, it's kind
took
of an
us too
interactive
long.
thing, isn't it?
It's what?
Kind of an interactive thing.
Yeah,
It took us too long to make up our mind.
yeah.
Yeah, I was told out, like, my
I-
wife and I have different opinions on what a good evening's entertainment is, so I don't know that she would have liked going that much, so I thought, I'll wait and if there's still tickets available later, I'll try to twist her arm. It's good to see it sold out and you have scores like that.
Yeah.
Very good. And that's the other thing I would like to see is support that new building at the museum.
Yeah.
We need to discuss that in Department 99, because I don't, yeah. That's one of my sticky notes, I have to discuss that, how much and where to take it from, so.
Out of your checkbook.
Yeah, probably not. Some, but not what the county would give.
This will be a good fundraiser for them.
It will. And I like the way where the money's going.
Yes.
Hey, Rochelle,
Yeah,
Did we already get money to the daycare?
Yes, that's what you guys approved yesterday, $10,000. We just paid them yesterday.
So what were they on the agenda for that got canceled today?
For next fiscal year,
Okay.
when we get to department, I kept it the same for next fiscal year, but, you know, I didn't know what to do, so I left it in there, and then the board can tell me what direction. But I think we told them that we wanted them in like January, February to come for next fiscal year, so. So that's why they're on the agenda for.
Gotcha.
I went to the hospital's annual meeting. It's gotta be a month or so ago by now.
Like November, I think that is,
Was it
isn't
November?
it? Yeah.
A couple months ago.
Seems like a month, yeah.
Yeah. Their financials are pretty darn interesting. Because if it wouldn't have been for the government handing out, what was it, $1 million or $2 million, whatever it was, they'd been in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
My wife was frustrated through work the other day. She said that she talked to some of the hospital in Fort Dodge area, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but they wanted to maintain rural hospital status or something like that, which requires them to limit the bed space available. They can't take in more than a certain number, or so. Here, when you're having surges, or you're having needs, you have room and beds for them, but this hospital's
Yeah, can't use it.
not able to.
No, it's
I
frustrating.
mean, that's just a weird situation. I get it on an ongoing basis, but from time to time, if the need presents itself, why would you just force?
Why can't you run some type of average or something?
I was surprised, actually, my sister, Denise, she had, last Friday she had pain. They took her to the hospital, they gave her a bunch of tests, thinking it was, appendicitis or gallbladder or something, and happened to be a nurse, I shouldn't say a nurse, a doctor that specializes in gastrointestinal stuff, and, they actually took out 10 inches of her colon in the Sibley Hospital. That surprised the heck out of me.
They can do a lot here.
But she was in Orange City or something, and so, yeah, it was kind of crazy. I didn't think they'd even attempt something like that here.
No, it's amazing what they all do. I just hope we never lose it.
All right, let's go on to the
My auditor, yeah.
Your
Keep going, my auditor, yes, I can meet. Budget salaries, I did, Chrissy, I kind of bumped her the same what I did with Chantry, so she's gonna be making $39,500 next year. Kind of the same pay scale we did with Chantry. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. Office supplies, postage, telephone, educational, miscellaneous, all that all stayed the same, so. Passports, you know, from year to year, I have no idea what it is, a guessing game, so. Last year, we were kind of down, but this year, kind of seen a spike. Now everybody's going to be having bills, more traveling, so. Just a guessing game. As to what we have or don't have. Plat books, you know, that's a guessing game too. Never know what we're gonna sell from year to year, so. Yeah. Pretty much on that.
We have a long-term plan on getting 50 to 85%, or?
Eventually, like 2 or 3 years down the road. My plan anyway.
I didn't realize she had worked at a courthouse before.
Who?
Chrissy,
She did?
that's what she told me yesterday.
Really? Where?
I'm not sure, she said she was like HR someplace or something. Sure, that's what she told me.
Huh. I didn't know where she worked here.
But you don't tell them what you think.
Yeah, I didn't know she worked here before. No, just go on, if you have no questions on the auditors, you can go into elections. Kind of the same thing, I split, Chantry and Christie's salary split between elections and, general basic auditors, so, FICA NIPERS, office supply. Election supply, I upped that, because we're gonna have a general election next year, so I have no idea if it's gonna be anything like it was 2 years ago. I'm not anticipating that, just because it's not a presidential one, so I don't think it'll be as, but you just never know. So, I didn't have to budget for next fiscal year for like primary, that shall be paid for this fiscal year. I budgeted for the general election. Special election, I'm not anticipating any of that. General election, I upped that. Postage and mailing, I upped that again, because I don't know what it's going to be.
Hey, Rochelle, what's the salary reduction under the election administration?
Because I'm not paying, Christie like what Chantry is making.
Gotcha.
That was the same way my auditor's budget, her salary got reduced, what Chantry was making. Data processing, our equipment doesn't get used a lot, and I'm not anticipating replacing it, but I might not have a choice down the road. So, kind of see how that plays out. I did have, for my election, my precinct officials, we're paying them $10 an hour. I was gonna ask the board if I could increase it to $10.50. If not more, last year they got $15 an hour working the general, that's because I had that $5,000 grant money, so
That's what they get at the gas station.
yeah, so I gave them a raise for $10.50 starting July 1st. So,
You can get stuff still $11,
yeah, I didn't know.
because that's not enough money to.
Well, someone did mention that they can make more at a quick start than they can, but, they're working one day versus every day, but I didn't know what the board's thoughts on that, so. So that's
It'd
why,
probably make it easier to find people if you left it at 15.
do what? At 15?
So it'd probably make it, if you left it at 15, it'd be easier to find people. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, they were making 10, but I did up it to $10.50, so if I can increase it more, I will. Was asking the board's opinion on that.
I guess if you don't get anybody to do it, you know you need to raise it.
Do they ask how much you pay when they ask?
Yeah, well, I usually tell them when we have training, that we're paying $10 an hour, and they get paid for the training to come to the courthouse, and then the election day. I'm saving a little bit of money because the polls are closing at 8 versus 9, so that saves some money there. I mean, they still have their, after the polls close, work, but at least we're shortening an hour, which will help a lot. Even finding people, get that extra hour, because, those are long days, from 6 a.m. until whatever, so.
Because they don't get to leave, do they?
No, they don't. No, they bring their lunch and snacks and all of that. So I appreciate my election officials, and I can't run an election without them, so I'm just trying to.
I think I would up it a little more than $10.50. That's just my thought. Do what you gotta do.
So should I budget for 11 then? Up that a little bit, or? Okay. And then the revenues the health insurance went down, because, a little bit, so we're saving money by, paying Christie's half share of everything, so.
Split between,
But,
split between the engineer's office and our office, or nothing to do?
what,
That's savings.
yes, yes. I pay half and they pay half of their bill. That's when I talked to Dave, he said that was probably the best way to do it, so. Like Christie's salary, my office pays half the single, half the family, and then they pay insurance, family insurance, and they pay half the single and half the family. So it's, because the county pays 100%, you know, of the single, and then we pay 50% of the family. But it was cheaper for Chrissy for us to pay their whole family portion of the health insurance than doing a single. So when I talked to Dave, he told me to split it 50-50 between their office and our office, so that's what I did.
Totally approved that.
Yeah, you did, yeah, you approved all that. Yeah, it was 50-50, so.
If no questions, should we move on?
Then we have juvenile, Nolan did this budget, but he didn't see any increase. You know, this is, every year this is a hit and miss. We don't know where we're gonna be or not be or, you know, it's just a hit and miss sort of thing, so. You know, this year we're only used for $5,000, so hopefully we'll just keep it that way and keep moving.
So the school's in session more than
Yeah.
remote, that will reduce the
Hopefully it will.
opportunities for people to get in trouble.
So with the huge increase in juvenile, how come that isn't getting spent down more?
What do you mean? I mean, every year it just
Got a
depends.
huge increase in juveniles coming into the court system up there. And I would imagine we'd be sending in multiple places this, there, and that, so I'm wondering why that isn't more.
Yeah, I don't know. Or unless they're way delayed in sending us billing. That's a good question, I don't know.
But the budget doesn't match the supposed workload upstairs, so I was wondering. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the medical examiner, I upped that a little bit, just because of medical examiner fees, or, you know, I never know autopsies and medical examiner, I don't ever know. We haven't, you know, Sandy and Dee are medical investigators, but we have not really used them since they've been certified. So I don't know if they'll start using them more or not, but, every time we have a medical examiner bill, it's $2,300. So, and if medical examiner requests it, there's not, we have to pay it, so we don't have a choice there, so that's why I upped that a little bit. That's kind of like juveniles, it's a hit and miss, every year is different, if you're gonna use it or not.
There are certain situations that require it, aren't there?
Yeah.
Just require
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah, so, I mean, if someone passes away from a different county in Iowa, usually we send that county the bill and they pay for it. If they pass away from Minnesota, you know, we have tried to bill other states, but no one ever pays us back, so, from other states. Usually a county thing, if for our county residents, we pay it, but another state don't. So, that's that. Okay, the non-departmental. First thing is public safety. They asked for a $43,000 increase in the county, so I split it half between general and half between rural basic, or public safety. So I don't know if that's how the board wanted me to do it, that's what I did. I had to up the rural levy for public safety up like 5 cents. Otherwise we were gonna be in the red.
Have you talked to Kevin about that since we talked about just leaving it?
No, I did not. I had to up it 5 cents, so my fund balance wasn't in the red, but, you know, I didn't know. I sent him that sheet that I sent you, and I have it in the back of the binder here.
Because our reserves have been over $1 million, well, they'll probably be over $1 million.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you guys had another meet, I didn't know what other towns were doing. I think they agreed to pay the increase, but I don't know about the other towns. So, I mean, I'll have to just correct that. So I didn't know, that's what I did with that, so I split it 50-50 between the two, so.
What did we figure, Rochelle, that 25% it should be $600,000-700,000?
Yeah, I mean, Dave Noble would like the fund balance like 25% of your expenditures, so, I projected public safety if everybody, I mean, if we spent everything that we have and got all of our revenues that he projected, that for fiscal year 2023, we would have $1,068,000 fund balance. That's what I projected. What?
About 60% then, and their budget about 1.8, 1.7,
Their expenses are $1,358,000.
1.3, oh.
And they wanted a 25%?
Well, that's what he usually says, like a 25% reserve balance.
I thought that was a state deal, the reserve.
Probably.
So then we're well beyond the 25%
Yes.
reserve balance.
Yeah, we are.
By quite a ways.
We're gonna have to discuss that budget next week too, in general supplemental. That's the same conversation. So, yeah.
I know there was a couple towns that did, just wanted to stay the course because of our fund balance.
Probably should have.
I don't wanna see us getting into one entity does this, one entity does that, it needs to be agreed upon in public safety and
It's got to be unified.
So, I don't know, when's your next meeting, February 8th or 2nd?
I think so.
Okay.
No, either way.
9th,
She thought it's the day after ours.
yeah.
Actually, I think it is ahead of time. Did they move it up, Leroy?
They did last week, but we don't know about this one.
I'll have to ask for sure.
Because we have to decide here
Yeah.
when you're gonna have your first public hearing.
Yep.
Either it's gonna have to be March 1st or March 8th, and I need to have it in the paper. If we have it March 1st, I have to have the paper by February 16th. If we have it March 8th, I have to have the paper by the 23rd. Then that means we have to have our final budget hearing. If we have it on the 8th, it can't be until the 29th of March. If we had it on March 1st, then we could have it on the 22nd, the normal board meeting, so you guys have to
Thought we
decide.
had to have our budgets in by March 15th.
They
to the
changed
state.
it to the 31st. They changed it a couple years ago.
Oh,
Because we have to hold that second public hearing.
I
Not
didn't-
all the cities and the schools have to be done by March 31st. They moved that 2 weeks. The schools, I think they're still February. But the city and, since we have to hold that extra public hearing date,
If we don't go over the 1.5, we still have to have the.
we still have to
second
have it
one.
regardless.
I forget that.
Regardless, we still have to hold it, so. So, board has to decide when they want to hold all this, so. But, yeah, that's what I did for now, I guess.
Okay.
We'll leave it until you guys change it or tell me different, so. Going down, disaster services, I kept that at $40,000 to Dan. It has been, I just upped that to the $6,162 or $192. Regional housing, I kept that the same.
For emergency management, did you put the raise in the wage raise?
This is just our donation to
Oh.
him. He has his own public hearing and stuff for that.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, okay. And then the regional housing, I kept that the same. Elder Bridge, that was in their budget, a little bit more than what we were currently. They requested $5,264. I don't know what the board wanted to do with that. Rides, they requested $1,400, credit we're paying $1,000, so I did up that.
I'd leave it at 1,000.
Leave rides at $1,000. Okay. Legal services, I left that at 2. Adult conservatorship, that's court ordered by the state, we have no control over it, so that's a hit and miss, what we need and don't need. It just varies from year to year, so. I did not give anything to the Oakdale Community Express, we haven't for the last 2 years, so I took that out of the budget. And then Upper Des Moines, I left that at $5,000 for them. And then adult treatments, I left that at $1,000. And then going down the trails repair, we had that all done this fiscal year, so I didn't budget anything for that. We didn't do a budget amendment for that, so I left that the same. The hotel motel, says, this is half the money that we get that we have to use for tourism collections. So we've been paying $5,000 for the pool out of that. And then I've been paying each one of the museums $3,000 out of that money. I did include Harris this time. I didn't know if I should or shouldn't. They are coming to talk to the board next week about that. So,
Where's their museum?
what was that old jail that they're,
Oh,
and they don't,
The old Marshall station.
and he said this, I talked to Wayne Boyer, he says that the city owns it, it's all donated labor. They've used the community foundation grant money to do some of the updates, and then the city has also paid for some of the updates on that, so he didn't know,
Do they have regular hours that they're open, or?
he did not say that, no.
Yeah.
So, that's why I included that in there. I don't know what to do. I figured it'd be better to include it and take it out than not include it, so.
Right.
You guys can tell me how you want to do that. So, like I said, they're coming next
But
week. He's coming next week, Tuesday.
we can wait and see what they have to discuss with us next week, I guess.
Okay.
We can always pull it out.
Yeah, we can, so. The assistant zoning, I left that the same at 1,500, and FICA and IPERS and Northwest Iowa Planning, left that the same. Yeah, I left pretty much all that the same.
Back to the hotel motel, what are you estimating for revenue off that?
Well, that's a hit and miss. Let's see.
Tell me what page this is.
I estimating $10,000 next fiscal year.
20 total, 10,000?
Yeah, 10,000, yeah.
Okay.
For 2021, we received 9,241, so 9,000 went into the hotel motel fund, and then the other 9,200 went into, general basic. You know, I'm assuming, I'm projecting it to be a little bit higher this fiscal year just because of Quick Start, they probably had a little bit more business there. But, and, you know, and we didn't have COVID, so hopefully that will increase, but, you know, I don't know, and they're so far behind bringing the money in, so that's how I have that for right now.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, just kind of hit and miss, so,
When we gonna leave Elder Bridge where it was? Just
Yeah.
a small increase.
yeah. So far, we just reduced rides to 1,000 instead of 1,400. And like I said, zoning items stayed the same. And then economic development, right beginnings, that's where I had the 10,000 in for next fiscal year, I guess, when they come talk to us, you guys can decide what you want to do with that. Hawkeye Point, you know, I know that's not ours, but we still pay the Quonset, we still pay the utilities on that. So it's the same way with the Crook Route addition and the economic, or Enterprise Park, we pay utilities on that.
Can we move all that over to conservation since they agreed to take it?
I don't know about Hawkeye Point, probably not the Enterprise Park or Crook Route, we can't, but the Quonset though, are they taking care of that too?
Yeah, just gonna use it.
Yeah.
So I can ask Nick to move that to conservation.
Yeah, 'cause you can just, that should go over their list since they're taking it.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that. Okay, and then economic development, I didn't know what the board wanted to do with that, I left that the same. I didn't know what their thoughts were to increase that, or,
She's gonna have the same raise as everybody else, so I would give that.
so give that a 6% raise, you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. The Northwest Iowa Coalition, I stayed at the same at 3,700. 4-H premiums, when you guys talk to 4-H, are they okay with the 7,000 and the 25,000, or, okay? So we kept the premiums the same at 7,000. The fairground maintenance, I called Steve and he said to leave that the same, so I did, that's what he paid him, so. And then the fairground expense, I kept that as the 25,500. Family Crisis Center, you know, we paid them 3, they're asking for 3,500. In CASA, last year they asked for 3, now they want 5, so I didn't know what the board wanted to do with that.
For the prior year, I can see going back to that.
Yeah, then they have to do 3, and now they, okay, so change them to 4,000, CASA, okay.
I'm okay with the crisis center increase, but
I am too.
Okay, then the next is townships, you know, I upped them a little bit, because we're paying them now through payroll. And then the township meeting expenses, they have any, so, what I did with that. And then the audit, I upped that, we're on our last year, so come March or April, I'm gonna have to start taking bids for, audit again, for 3 years. I don't think so.
I don't either.
So, Lyon County did theirs last year, and, all they had was de novo, and then the state wasn't taking any more audits, so,
From what I've heard, they don't do that great job.
yeah, so, yeah.
the
Cost,
state you're talking about.
What?
You're talking about the state?
Yeah.
so I upped that a little bit, 'cause I don't know what it's gonna be like. Cost advisor, I kept that the same, GASB 27, I kept that the same, that's something we have to do every year. ISAC fees, I kept those the same, and Western Tourism asked for $500, so I kept that the same, so. Office supplies, kept that the same, miscellaneous the same. NC,
Our office supplies going up though?
well, maybe each office, you know, kind of does their own, this is kind of like a group office thing, that we get like calculator tape, and that we can try to save money that way more. I don't know, last year previously, we haven't used all of it, so that's why I just kept it the same.
We used 84% of it so far.
Yeah, this year we have, and then last year we only used 1,000, and the previous years, it, you know, varies from what everybody needs. I mean, they can up it.
She probably just load up, because they're just gonna keep going up.
Okay, so what should I move it to, 5,000, or?
I'd probably go 4,500 or 5,000, I mean,
Okay.
just watching how everything's doubled for office supplies in my office. And I don't use near what you guys do.
Alright, I'll bet $500 and see what happens there. Miscellaneous, I kept that the same, wellness costs the same. Jack, INCS, I kept that the same, I haven't heard of him increasing it. Beaver bounties, I upped that a little bit, seems to be a increase in that. Hotel, I'm
You
sorry.
are up there on feet that kind of, aren't you?
No, that's all Nick, and I appreciate that, more than you know. Okay, so now this hotel motel, I have $10,000 in there, and I'm asking the board, is that where you wanna put the farm shed donation out of, or, you know, we haven't used anything out of that. I think the last time we used it, Nick had signs or something we used that money for in conservation, so I didn't know what the board's thought was. I didn't know where to put the farm shed, and how much you wanted to put towards it or not, or, so, that's what I'm asking.
What's the fund balance on that?
It's general basic. So it doesn't matter.
You don't keep a separate fund balance of what came in on that?
No, it's all included in general basic. The only thing I keep is that 50% tourism one.
I'll be honest with you, that number right there is what I thought about donating. But maybe I'm high, I don't know.
And I can build another line out of this, or put it for the farm shed so that we know what it's for, you know.
What do you guys think?
Go to a good
what's that $10,000 for again?
Well, that's that half of the money that we get from the hotel motel. You know, we put,
And we want it to go where?
well, the farm shed, I didn't know where, if, you know, Bethel came and talked to the board about the farm shed, so I didn't know where you wanted it taken out of. I thought maybe that would be a good place, or what you wanted to donate, the board of the county. I just
Is
left
that the
it,
museum thing?
yes, that farm shed that they're trying to raise money for. So,
Gotcha.
that's why I'm asking the board what you want.
I would go half that much personally.
Did she make a specific request, or I remember she said something about a grant they were applying for that would have a better chance or would require local government matches. I guess I'd like to know what that number is. I'm fine with it coming from that line.
Yeah.
I would agree with Jerry, I think 5,000 would be a better place to start or consider, but I'd still like to know what that match would be and if Sibley's doing some and what that could look like versus just saying a flat amount, but.
Whatever.
I would agree with that as well.
The 5,000?
Yeah, the 5 and then kind of wait and see what the match is before anybody commits any money.
You wanna leave it at 10 for now and find that out and adjust that at a later date?
That would make sense, I guess.
Just leave it. So
Just leave it and then
So somebody gonna
see what
talk
the
to,
match, because the match might be 20 grand, so I mean, you might have to have 10 from Sibley and 10 from us, or the match might be more, I don't know. Because that's a pretty big project.
so somebody gonna talk to Beth about it, or, so we know, or,
I think
Might
really
not
just
be
do it.
providing some information on what the match might be, but maybe I misheard it.
I don't know how far she is on that process.
I was just gonna say, that's it, probably, I don't know.
I don't know if they are or not.
Okay, well, I'll leave it at 10, and then if you find some more information the next time around, then we'll go from there then.
When it's budgeted like this and we find out an exact grant dollar, we don't, I mean, we're not saying we're committing 10,000 then, we're just having the room to
do it.
make that. Okay.
Okay. Tort liability insurance, I talked to Bill and I upped it like 17%. He thought that would, most counties that have ICAP, theirs going up between 15 to 20. So when I talked to Bill, he said 15 should be, I upped it a little bit more than 17, I guess, so. The work comp, I upped that to 15%, so.
How was our history with work comp? Is that coming down?
It was.
It was until a few months ago.
Yeah, probably not anymore, but it was.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So that's that. You know, we just budgeted for, I mean, I can only put a dollar amount in there, and then they do the audit, and then they always send us a bill for more money, so, I never know where that's coming from, so.
Those rebates or refunds or whatever. Along that line, has it been long enough that we wanna do bids for insurance on the county level again, or?
That's a bad idea. Has that been 4 years, right? 'Cause I thought we did that for 4
I'm
years.
gonna check, and I haven't checked that out yet.
It might be worth considering.
Did we do 3 or 4?
Oh, we went 4.
Well, we did, evidently we did it in 18-19, because we had that 3,000 consultant fee, because we used Don Butler's firm for that. So I think we're going on our, 4th year then, so, okay. So should I put some money in there? I don't know what we went for, if it's 3 or 4.
I'm going by memory on that, and don't quote me that. I thought it was because we were on a 4-year.
It's a 4-year thing in there, okay, I'll check that out once, and we might have to change that, okay. Okay, so I'll check that too. Okay. And the next page, that Senex tip is, we are at our 10 years, so, we will no longer be paying Senex half their rebate, so the rest their half will be going to the city and secondary roads. So that's why that's a blank. That's reflected in the next line item, the city's portion. That's when I figured what their portion will be of the Phoenix 6. And then Bosma, and then green and yellow, you know, they haven't submitted all their paperwork. They could get 13%, but right now they're only getting 5, so, but until they submit the paperwork, that's.
You're budgeting for the full amount, though?
Yes, I am, so. And then the city of Ochean, that's their portion they requested, and JRJ and Langstrad, that's all their half share of the interest. And then going down, the next principal, that's the interest or that's the principal payment for the CFE and then the amended ethanol tip, so. We reduced our tax asking for the amended ethanol tip, because we're gonna, this year and next year, and then in '24, we can pay it off, and we're gonna have enough money in the funds to pay for it, so, we reduced the tax asking so that we have enough money in the fund to pay for it off, without overtaxing everybody, so to do with that, so. That's what we did there. So that's pretty much non-departmental, the expenses. Anybody? Okay.
Sorry.
No. So, I don't know, the first few pages are just the TIF revenues, or the, levies and asking. This is all the credits that we get from the state. If you go to page 8 of the revenue side, the bottom, the increment, the industrial machinery and equipment, I reduced that a little bit because we're going to start phasing that out. So I just start reducing that now for next fiscal year. A lot of this stuff is just for guessing. I did on page 12 of the revenues, I took out Hawkeye Point rent, because we're no longer getting that, so I took all that out. And then the bottom of page 12, that's what we get reimbursed from the fairgrounds. They reimburse us our costs. For that, so. Other than that, it's just a guess and by golly. I budgeted $10,000 for general basic to receive that in the hotel motel. So I'm projecting that for 22, 23, well, hopefully we'll get 20,000. So far we received, this fiscal year, we received $8,394 in each fund, so. So that's that. If anybody has any questions about that.
Go back to page 11 on the expenditures. Just giving some thought to rebidding insurance. Do we want to put 5,000 in for consulting fee again, or?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
We don't absolutely have to use a consultant, but I think they start talking enough terms and ways of looking at it that it's hard to compare apples to apples, and I appreciate that outside insurance mind that kind of explains that or makes sure that.
What did it cost us last time?
$3,000, but that was 18, 19,
Yeah.
I'm sure that one.
I'm
Yep.
all for that.
And I'm not saying we have to do it this year, but it just would be worth considering here now, I guess.
Yep, I think it'd be good.
And then on page 13, the CFE tip, that's the initial one to the road. The amended ethanol tip, is that the additional borrowing for the CFE road that's gonna get paid off in '24 you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the CFE, that's the 77,000, and then the 11,100 is amended for the 750,000 that we borrowed.
on a bigger picture then, when CFE came and asked about this whole project, I still remember them saying, we're not asking for anything but a road. And our TIF approach allowed for the possibility of a rebate down the road, once we're paid back and the bonds are paid off. Seeing that we had to borrow significant dollars from an outside area to complete that, that hurries the payoff process and makes that rebate down the road more likely or more of a potential. I'm just putting it out there, I'd like us to make sure we can consider maybe amending and reducing that, or at least including that in the discussion if things move forward with Aspen and their CFE, and CFE's thoughts there, but I think that didn't quite turn out consistent with what we went into it thinking, that the valuation of the mill was gonna pay all the costs of the road, and we used other valuation to accomplish that, so I just wanna point those two things out as she's talking about
That was just
sharing
the
the payoff.
That was just the upfront cost, wasn't it, that we had to borrow some money to do it?
We had to
We
pay
went
interest.
ourselves.
Yeah, general basic, I think was $207,000 that were,
Well, that all gets paid back.
yeah,
But that's out of the regular CFE.
yeah, that's out of that 46,000 or, the 46,000 fund, that's the actual CFE, that's at 2.8. And the 45,000 is the 750 that we borrowed. I do have it in this fiscal year to pay back general basic 75,000 from the CFE, starting to pay back general basic. And then next year, when we get to, I'll show you next year when we get to transfers, I'll show you how I had it planned for next year too.
Do you guys follow though, the $750 that we borrowed really would have been taken from any future potential rebate that the agreement says they're capable of getting down the road, so I would like that to
I guess I never
be in our minds and.
never really realized why we offered them up to $5 million. I guess I never caught that.
For what?
Didn't we offer them like a total of up to $5 million?
That was the initial one I argued for, and we got it reduced, I don't remember what the final number was.
But I don't know why we
2
do.
million?
That sounds right.
2 million something?
But even at
Better
that, that's figuring all of that valuation paid for all of the costs of it, and it didn't. So, I just, yeah. Personally, I'd like that to be in our minds as we consider these other efforts with them. And I wanna be supportive of them, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, but
Do you have any more questions on, do you have any more questions, about 99?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, all right, then we're gonna, and then we got data processing is next. So, just data processing supplies with our, I just dropped that a little bit to 750, and photocopies, I have that dropped that a little bit. The telephone, I dropped that just a little bit. Our data processing services, that's Solutions and Premier, so I kept that the same. Because we're in that 5-year contract with Solutions, so their software won't change. We're going on plan for 3, going in year 3 next fiscal year, so kept that the same. The website, I kept that the same. We shouldn't have any one since we just updated. The data processing equipment, though, I did update, because I put the cloud in there. I didn't know if the Rescue America money would pay for that or not, so I put it, it was $18,000, I put it in there. I really do think we need the cloud, because if we would have a tornado or a fire, we lose all of our documents. Solution side, we're good, but all of our Word documents, our Excel, that's all gone if we have a tornado.
You don't want that to happen.
No, I really don't. And,
So would that cloud service also cover the attorney's office?
it should, because it's at the courthouse, so it should. I guess
So then you would have access to dump things into the cloud then?
He should, yes, because he's on the same server we are, so.
I hate to pay for 2 clouds, one for him with that other program.
Yeah, I guess
and
I
one for you.
I never took that into consideration when I did the budget, so I don't know for sure if he got that software, how that would tie in, I don't know.
I'll have to have him or you communicate with this
With Premier.
entity to see if we
Yeah.
we'd need less space if that went forward. What was the ongoing annual maintenance to that cloud?
initial, and I don't remember what the ongoing was. Yeah, I don't know that. And then I would like to get, a scanner in my office to scan claims and stuff, to get rid of some of the paper files that we have, because we're running out of room. And if we got a scanner, then I can just, I don't need any other software, we can do it right through Solutions. We have the document locator, and Lyon County is doing it, they just started, so I was gonna get Chrissy, feel more comfortable, and then get them more comfortable, and then we were gonna go over there and train and see what it would take to scan it. They said it's great.
How much is that scan?
You're gonna get a heavy duty scanner, right, not
Yeah.
like a home one.
No, it'd have to be, I have not done any of that, I haven't done research on that, I'm just trying to make my office more efficient and more, yeah. And Lyon County just thinks the world of it, and they're very happy with it, and
Where do you buy that from?
I don't know if we have to go through Premier, or I'll have to ask Lyon
I was
County.
gonna say, they would come and train you, wouldn't they?
Premier one is this Office Solutions, but we have had online training with that as well, so, just trying to,
There's nothing like that in the engineer's office already?
there might be, I don't know, I don't think she has a scanner though. I don't think she has a scanner, not that I'm aware of. But I mean, if I got a scanner, I'm not opposed to any other office using it, I mean, it doesn't have to be just my office.
Didn't they hire a company to come in and do a bunch of scanning?
I was thinking they did
The
it as a
recorder's
temporary
office
type
did,
deal.
yeah.
I thought the engineer did too.
Well, the engineer did the best as well.
But
I'm just trying to think outside the box and trying to get more efficient and less work and more efficiency and,
I don't have a problem with it.
but, so just check it out and see. Oh, there's one thing though I forgot to ask. In 99, this Rescue a Money American Funds, you know, we have half of it now, and I think we're supposed to get the other half either this fiscal year or next fiscal year. I did not budget anything for that, because when I talk to other counties, they're using, I have a separate fund for that, but they're using each department. So let's say I have IT services, so I would take it out as 9,500 fund, but out of Department 52 instead of Department 99. Does that make sense? So with that being said, then I really can't budget for it for next year, because I have no idea what department anything is coming out of. Or if it's the jail, if we're gonna remodel the jail, it'll come out of this fund, but Department 05. You see what I'm saying?
An amendment and.
We'd have to do an amendment, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I know no one likes amendments, but I don't know how else to get around it. Until we have no designation for this money yet, so. Does that make sense to everybody, to the board?
It's clear as mud.
As good as it can be when it comes to that, so. Okay. So that's why there's a little increase in data processing budget. Okay, then the next is libraries. I kept those the same. I didn't know if the board wanted to increase it, decrease, or increase it, leave them the same, what your thoughts were.
What did they ask for? They didn't ask for an extra, did they?
I don't believe so, then they just gave their annual report.
I believe it.
Okay. We're just gonna leave that the same then. Okay, then the courthouse. Just increase the salaries a little, or the 6%, and the janitor, they still all get a 6% raise, so we just, the FICA diapers and the insurance dropped a little bit. Electrical supplies stayed the same, custodial, telephone, natural gas. The last, 2 years we've been doing okay.
But has the windows helped you?
I think so, a little bit, yeah. I haven't compared them.
Is your corner still stove?
Not as bad, no, still at this moment, but, when the wind is blowing, there's not much you can do, so.
I was just kind of curious.
Yep, the ambulance building, the, electricity, I upped it a little bit.
The ambulance building, are we gonna end up doing some painting or some?
Well, she had that in her budget, I didn't know that should come out of, she has it in ambulance budget for painting, but I didn't know if we should include that in here instead of her budget. I'm gonna go back up to the courthouse. I budgeted $150,000. I need your opinion on things. I'm taking bids for shades right now, okay? So the next fiscal year, we have to fix the offices, because they're peeling and we have to fix them, and we need to paint. So while we're in the mess, do we paint and do carpet at the same time, or do we just fix just paint next fiscal year, and then the following year do carpet? What does the board suggest I do on that?
Good to do it all.
I'd say do it and be done.
It would be,
Then you got the floor and then.
yeah. And then that brings me another question that we might have to do sooner. The clerk of court's office is getting new desk, and that's all state paying for all of that. My office is benefiting because we're getting the desks for free. We're gonna get those desks down there for free. They said if we dismantle them, they're ours. It won't cost me anything. So that's my plan, to do that. But that office needs major repairs. So, I mean, that paneling down there, Ernie said the wall is crumbling. So we take the paneling down, then we need to get an electrician in there, and then we need to sheet rock the walls. So it would be nice to get it all done before the new desks come in, but they have no idea when the desks are even coming. The state they don't know any of that.
But it's gonna take us a little bit of time to get a contractor lined up to
Yeah.
do it.
So that's why I was thinking if it's okay with the board if we start that process now, to at least that office,
I would think so.
because they're,
I thought we had already talked about fixing all that down there when we tore out the windows.
well, we have, but we hadn't gotten that far. Well, the new desk just came about, so they had to
But
get,
as far as the repairs to the walls and everything down there, I thought.
Yeah.
When it was done the same time as the windows got swapped out.
yeah, we were gonna do the windows first, and then the next fiscal year, I was gonna work on paint and carpet. But I think we need to start that office sooner than later.
No, I'm talking clerk of court's office.
Yeah.
That was a separate
Okay.
thing in and of itself that was going to
Okay.
be done right away
Okay,
with the rest.
well, we're going to, I
That's
think,
what I thought too, Ed.
okay, well, I'm not, okay, well, if that's all right with the board, then Bernie's already starting to get contractors, but we're not having any luck, anybody coming in, so that's our problem.
My recollection on that, there was actually water damage
Yes.
from the windows,
Yes.
and that's what we
Yeah.
repaired. And this is
And
more
this
of a
Yeah,
full
that,
office update and
Yep.
cleanup type,
That's what I
so I think they are different approaches.
Okay.
yeah,
I think
they,
let's do it and get it done.
okay.
This way you get to go first too, in Rochelle, if you get desks.
Well, yeah, maybe. I'm just, and, you know, when we paint, I want to paint the ceilings and the walls. Not to outdate me, but I was pregnant with Ally when we did all this, and that's been 23 years ago, so.
When you did.
See, that's a man's take on
That's what
things.
you got for 23 then.
Well, I won't be here for the next 23, so I don't care, but.
What's the problem with waiting?
We're gonna do the math, we're gonna do, I think, the ceilings and the walls. And the new gray, the tan's gonna be gray, like in no one's office.
Guess we were told what's gonna happen.
I'm asking your opinion.
I don't wanna be a stickler one, but like this ceiling right here is probably gonna have to be redone.
Yeah,
It
it is, yeah, and some of the
Not
other.
just paint.
No, I know, and that's the trouble, we have to try to find somebody to come in first before the painter comes in. And then that brings me another question. I'm getting blinds, okay? The woodwork, nothing's been done to that since I was pregnant with Ally. Do we mess with that before the blinds come in, or do we, I have a call in to Dennis Poppin to get his personal opinion, but he hasn't responded yet, so are they
Woodwork
fine?
where?
What?
The woodwork where?
Just woodwork throughout the whole offices, I mean, they haven't been revarnished. We revarnished and painted the carpet all at the same time, and we're going on 23 years, so. I'm asking, I don't even know if they need to be done, but I'm asking. Yeah.
They look good to me.
So.
Sandra, what do you think?
Well, but your point, getting it done when there's already a mess.
Yeah. So I'm just
You're gonna
asking,
wanna probably, get that lead paint scraped off and covered back over,
yeah,
probably sooner rather than later.
yeah, I mean, the whole courthouse needs to be painted. The carpet, you know, I didn't know if we should just do the carpet one, or the paint one year and then the carpet, or just do it all at one time.
I would
I'd
favor,
paint first and then do the floor, because, well, then you don't have to worry about covering up everything on the floor to keep the paint from getting on it, but.
But if we have to take all the furniture out to paint, then we better off putting carpet in right away and being done.
I would do it all at one time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, do it all at once.
Okay, I didn't misunderstand.
Floor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I agree with that. I guess I would just favor doing a couple offices this next year and then a couple offices the following year and.
I kind of agree with that, Jason.
Or one floor,
Yeah.
a floor at a time,
Yeah.
maybe do,
Or the most used offices first. So like the treasurer's office and the auditor's
I do
office
this
and the
before,
recorder's office first, and
yeah.
then the clerk of court, do those four first.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we should do the clerk of court though this year, like, get somebody here and start that process before those new desks come in.
Yep.
Okay, all right, well, Ernie's working on it, it just, I don't, no one's being real cooperative getting back to him. So, no one likes to deal with plaster.
That's a room that's gonna take
Nope.
most work.
It is, yep, and it's rewiring,
Yeah.
but, you know, and the file cabinets and all that has to be moved out, so if we can do it all at one time, that would be great.
Do you have to ask the state what they want for wiring and where?
I don't know if I can ask, there's one unit that sticks out by Angie's desk, that's all state, and she would like that moved, but the state said it would cost way more money than they wanna spend to do it. And that's the state, that's on them, that's not the county's
I
responsibility.
think I'd visit with them and see where they want what.
Yeah, I don't, that's the only thing that she wanted moved, 'cause it sticks out probably that far, but they won't move it, and the state has to do that, so.
And we can't?
They told her it cost $1 million, I don't believe that, but.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, I think there's
How
a stretch
far to
there.
go?
I think she went behind
I
you, I
mean-
think she wants to move to the north wall.
I know, but you
so-
don't know what.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know what's all that's hooked up to,
Yeah,
and
you
I have
don't
no
know that.
idea. So, okay, well, we're starting to work on that office, we just trying to figure that out, so.
Would you have budgeted for blinds?
I had 20,000 for this fiscal year. I have one quote that won't be quite enough, but it's close, so. I'm getting another quote, and then another company has to come in and give me another quote, so I'm trying to get 3 bids on it.
What was the first quote?
I'll tell you later. I don't, 'cause I don't have the other bids in yet, so I hate to say, I don't, you know, make it fair for everybody, so. I got one so far, so. No, I have Troy Winkle gave me a bid on blinds. He does blinds. And then Northwest Iowa Decor is the other one.
When did he get out of building buildings?
I don't know, he does both.
He's always done that. Yeah, and that was actually.
Right.
First or triple A, what was it?
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
kind of stuff, that's what he pushed him to do.
Didn't realize that.
So I got one from him, and then Jim Van Lowe works at Northwest Decor, and then, Dennis Jurgens installs them, I guess. We're getting roller shades, is what they suggested that what the bids are, roller shades. So on the side, have a chain.
Just like these, that only,
Yeah, but you should be able to see out of them somewhat, but it should also protect the sunlight and all of that. That's what they suggested that we do, so I'm going by their suggestions, I have no idea.
and they'll be mounted way at the top.
Yes,
And then you
yeah.
can put them all the way down.
Yes, they will not be electric. I think those are way more than what.
And most of the time, they don't work all the time.
Yeah, they're way more than what we really want to spend on that, so, okay.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so then the court fund. And the court fund, I left that the same. You know, that varies from year to year as well, so. And then going to transfers. The first line item is the, 65,000 is what I have coming from the CFE going to general basics. And then secondary road transfers, that's down a little bit because our rural valuation went down. So the transfers went down a little bit, like $20,000 $26,000. That $20,000 is from general basic to Nick's land acquisition. And then the other remaining ones are what we're transferring into, the debt fund to pay off the principal and interest. That makes sense to everybody? We're down a little bit because we're not collecting as much for that amended ethanol one. And then secondary road transfers went down because of the valuations going down. And then the revenues are kind of the same thing, it's just an in and out deal, so. One fund's spending it, the other fund's receiving it, so.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay. And then the mental health, we have nothing for mental health because we're not funding for that next fiscal year. I will have to do a budget amendment because whatever our fund balance is, we have to send that to the region by June 30 of this year, so. And then the next is the sheriff's budget. Something like that. This is a projection from, I kept the levies all the same, except for, public safety, I had increased that 5 cents, but the general basic projection for 22-23 is $2,064,501. This year, for this year, we're projecting $2,177,000. We probably could take a little bit out of general supplemental to put back into general basic. The board wants to reduce the fund balance a little bit. General supplemental, I have an ending fund balance of $545,000. We probably could reduce the levy a little bit. We don't need quite that much in there. It all just depends what the board wants to do with the fund balances. I didn't print this out because with all the changes, it's going to change. So,
I'd like to look at that after everything is.
yeah, I'll print this out for you next week. And then real basic too, I have the ending fund balance of $4,964,000. We probably could reduce that a little bit too. I don't know if I need that much in there, but I didn't know where we're gonna go with all everything, so that's why I didn't print you guys out this, but you can gladly look at it.
Here's my thoughts, I think those fund balances need to come down, and moving stuff back out of supplemental into general fund gives you room in the future when things go differently. I think of that.
Yeah, we should do something else, we know exactly where we're setting.
Because right now, the extra that we're taking out of general supplemental is like health insurance, FICA, IFRS, the $40,000 to EMA. We're taking that all in general supplemental. The elections, I probably want to keep that in general because we have first supplemental, we don't control of that, but.
EMA, I don't think we have to raise that this year, but we've got to be looking at that in the future, because that balance is coming down.
But once I make these changes, then I can print off the fund balances and the board can look at it then for next week.
Okay.
But,
I'm not found why you don't want to take election stuff out of supplemental.
I
You can always go
guess
back in if you need to, I mean, there's no
yeah,
action required or restriction.
well, right
on
now
that.
we're taking $837,000 out of general supplemental. So if we put all of those back into general basic, then we're probably down to 1.2 million, somewhere in there. Ending fund balance, is what I'm saying, in general, is it?
And I'm not saying it has to be all, but
I just thought we would start with, like, 40,000 for the EMA, I mean, and then start, or we could, if we left like the health insurance, all of that stuff, FICA and IFRS, help leave that all into general supplemental like we're doing now, and take out that 40,000 for EMA, and then we have all the health or the liability and work comp we're taking out of general supplemental. We could put all that back into general basic and cut the levy a little bit. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Not confusing you.
Cause that 40,000 we'd naturally give EMA, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have that. We gave them 30, and in the last couple of years we're up to 40.
Yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, we're taking that out of general supplemental. We could go back and put that into general basic. And hazmat, you know, we take that out of, or we already take that out of general basic, but I'm just saying that would be not quite $100,000, so that would be that you could put back in. I just have to know sooner than later, because I just, quite a bit of work to do that, so, not that it can't be done, I'm not saying it's just gonna take some time, so, I need to know sooner than later. That's what I'm trying to say. So, you know, we have some time, so, I'll make these changes and send a budget sheet out to you, everybody.
And also bring some advice, what you think.
I think we need to reduce general basic a little bit. But kind of like public safety, I also was here when,
Levy sheet there, right? Balance, any fund balance that we had.
I was also here when general basic was like really bad.
Public safety.
Yeah. Like, I don't wanna go
But
back.
they keep growing, you know, what we pick up.
Yes, that helps
That's
them out a
about what
lot.
they keep growing.
Yes. I agree. So,
And, you know, the county ends up the biggest part of it. The raise.
yeah, we all went up 43 and everybody else went up
Yeah.
not that much.
I think Malvern was less than $1,000.
We'll look at what their budget is.
Well, I understand.
I mean, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Better that way than this.
Yeah, but like I said, I was in the era that we were,
What is
Like
actually, you said something about the state, what is legal? I mean, are we in trouble if we,
I don't think, I've always heard 25%, but I gotta do some more
That's what I've always heard, you should go over 25%.
I don't wanna go over that.
of your expenses. That's what you should have in your reserves. You know, our expenses are, I don't have a calculator, but yeah, 1.3 million, so 25% of that is,
we figure up that money, $300,000-400,000?
yeah. Public safety, I think if you go down to 750 or, I mean, I think,
Would still be comfortable,
yeah,
would be
pretty
over,
much
but,
so.
yeah.
But at least you wouldn't be, yeah.
I think you're looking at it right, just by leaving it.
I don't know if we'll have a meeting before we kind of agree to that budget. But since then, Kevin and I, you know,
Have Kevin call a special meeting.
I would think the towns would have to know soon as well too,
Yeah.
because they're in the same boat we
yes,
are.
yes, they do, yeah.
Because they have to have their 2 public hearings.
Or do we just let it ride and, you know,
One more year and then
Yeah.
it goes from there.
When I
all
was-
right, you got anything else?
When I was on that committee.
Just had a drainage problem.
No, I know, and since I've been on, it just keeps.
Yeah.
Well, taking those 2 deputies and putting in
Yes.
patrol has helped tremendously.
Well, that's what they grow at, basically, yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
at 9:43, how we're gonna handle that.
All right.
We gotta adjourn this one and.
Should we, take a motion to adjourn? Motion and support to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. Aye, all opposed? We are adjourned.
I'm gonna get changed.
Aye.
Cause she's been.
Don't wanna see drainage.
Forgot there was a drainage thing on there.
All right, I'll open the drainage district number 9, Lateral 2, and drainage district 43.
Oh, did I give you copies of those minutes? I might not have given you copies of those minutes.
No, I don't have any minutes. Just wait for Marcia.
Mark Daigle passed away last night.
Mark, really? Oh, I knew, I heard of that. I tried to sell him the day he was very good.
We got the call about 20 after 11 last night. At Josh's.
So he lived out there by Ellen Road.
Yep.
Well, once they diagnosed him with cancer, it didn't take long.
I talked to his son the other day, a while back, and he said from Thanksgiving to Christmas, it was like big time crash.
And Mark was so stinking playful and everything that he would,
Yeah, it's too bad.
I don't know, what, 63, 4, 85?
Yeah, he was, he told me when I was.
How old is he now? He can't be.
30,
Yeah, something like that, I suppose.
I don't know if he's 40 yet.
I bet Jeremiah's around 42, 43, so Josh should be a little younger than that.
Yeah.
Jeremiah's that old?
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
43, 44 probably, yeah.
Oh, I know Josh has kids in college too, so.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Sorry about that. I had Cole look them over to make sure that they're.
Okay. He doesn't need to be,
No, I don't know. Chantry's been working with him for the assignment, so.
all right. We need to approve the January 26th agenda. Any additions, corrections? Take a motion.
So moved, on the agenda.
Support.
Motion and support to approve the agenda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah?
Lee, that made you laugh. January 4, 2022 minutes.
I might not have sent those to you, Ed, but I will.
No, you didn't, so I'll abstain up.
Okay, sorry.
Make a motion to approve.
And a motion,
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Set.
Abstain.
Sorry, Ed. Set term of drainage waivers.
Chantry's, we're trying to decipher this code, which is like very confusing. I think it can only be 10 years or 20 years, the waiver.
Here's a person that knows it all, right?
Oh, no. Don't be saying that. But we decided after reading the code, it's either 10 or 20 years waiver, so the board has to decide.
And they can pay it off whenever they want.
Yes, they can. Yeah,
So 20 years is paid off before it goes.
yeah. It's so hard to know how to do the drainage assessment without knowing if they're gonna do waivers or not. Because if they don't do waivers and they pay it off, or if they do waivers, then they're paying that 6% interest that we have to pay on these stamped warrants that aren't getting redeemed. And most farmers might pay it off because they're paying 6% interest. I'm assuming their operating note
What we
is
have.
less than 6%. The county did 6%.
The district pays 6%.
Yeah, but yeah,
Which is what we're assessing them for.
yeah.
And they all know the percentages, don't they?
They were at that meeting, if they weren't at the meeting.
Yeah, we have to give them a 30-day notice to do the waivers, so we have to have their amortization schedule sent to them like 30 days before, and then they determine off of that if they want to pay off in full or if they want a waiver. So Cole had provided me some, these like levy calculation sheets for these. I have one for each of the ditches, and then on each page is for each of the individual laterals or whatever, and which parcels are within those. And so just when I was running the figures, I added on a column on the end just to see, to turn it into dollars, basically. So he gave me what their charges are, like this one is drainage ditch 9 lateral 1. They're liable for $2,410.59 of the reclassification cost, because there was no construction that was done on any of the laterals. It was just in the main tile, main open ditch, except for like 9 lateral 2 had work in it, so that one has extra costs. But all the other ones, they're only getting charged their percent of the reclassification cost, and that's what he determined was lateral 1's responsibility of that reclassification cost for this one. So when I put that in there and then I use their percent schedule, it converts it into their dollars basically. So on this one, there's only one parcel that even qualifies for a waiver because it's $500.67, so it barely qualifies. It has to be $500 minimum before it will qualify. So anyways, I just kind of did that for all the laterals to just kind of see if you guys want to pass this around, you can. And it printed super stupid, so like upside down.
We might have to continue this conversation, but we probably better get it started, because we're paying, we
Did
got.
you email that out?
No, I did
Okay.
not. I did not, but I can, yeah. If you want to see those numbers, so you can kind of get an idea of who has what expenses for waivers. I did add up like a couple of them. I think it was a Mark Hange trust one. I added up all of their parcels because if you're in 9, you're automatically also in 43, so you have assessments in both. And so I added up all of the assessments that were for that specific, or in that landowner name. I know there's Hange Farms too, but I didn't add those. And that one ended up being like $170,900 and some dollars. And then there was a Van Low, that was $160,000. I didn't add up like Sonstergaard or anything like that, because dang it, they wanted this anyway, so. But just to give you kind of an idea of, like, that's what their assessment amount is going to be, and, I don't know if that's, I have no idea what their financial status is, so if it would be easier to pay that over 10 years or 20 years, I don't know, but, or if they would just pay it off. But, in these numbers that Cole had given me, they also kind of factored like a reserve amount for each of the, like, we have stamp warrants that are issued out of DD 9 main tile, DD 9 lateral 2, DD 43 main tile, and DD 43 main open ditch. So those were the 4 funds that all of the stamp warrants were issued out of. So when we assess DD 9 lateral 1, their assessment will come in and then it gets transferred to the 43, the main one where the warrant was issued out of. Does that make sense? But on the calculation thing too, they factored in, for this one, they factored in a $2,000 reserve. This one is for 43 main open ditch. And then they also, like, forecasted what warrant interest would be, so it's a total estimated number. But, like, this one is $7,561.94. But the one for DD 9, the main tile, they have warrant interest forecasted as $164,446.55, and it's really hard to know if that's even going to be a ballpark, or like in the ballpark of where it ends up being, because like you said, we don't know how many are going to waiver, or who's going to all waiver, and how much that ends up being. So the reserve amount and the warrant interest, those are all numbers that can be adjusted if we want to say, okay, we don't think that many people are gonna waiver on this ditch or whatever, then if you wanna reduce it, then we can do that. But all the other ones are pretty solid numbers from Cole. But he said the reserve amount and the warrant interest are just estimated forecasted numbers, so those can be played with.
I mean, during those drainage meetings, I got a feel like most of them were gonna pay it off, because it's cheaper going through their operating loan, but I don't know who, that might have changed too, but I don't know what interest is on operating those are.
I'm just trying to think like Van Lowe's, they rent that out, don't they?
Interesting.
Might take quite a few years to rent.
Well, I don't remember what the figure was, but they take $100 an acre for 10 years, $30 an acre for 20. Should be, but it's a disadvantage of giving them the 20 years, and then they can pay it off.
We just paid, yeah,
They're paying more.
just the ones that are gonna waiver,
They're paying, I understand
Yeah, yeah.
that, but
yeah.
I'd say give them 20 years, and if they pay it off early, that's fine.
We just have to know in order to calculate the waivers and to know, calculate,
Concern had been brought up by young farmers, and this, this provides them an opportunity to spend it out over 20 years if
Yes.
they don't have a bank behind them or have
Yes.
that opportunity. And throughout the process, most of the documentation showed that we were likely to do 20 years.
Yes.
They did projections based on 20-year waivers, so
I'd say do 20.
I favor the 20.
I do too. If they, if they ain't got the money and they don't wanna pay the 6%, they go to the bank and
Gives them
borrow against their farm and,
Yeah, gives them the option.
pay it that way.
Yeah.
That's what I would,
I think you're going 6% might be cheaper, you said.
yeah, might be, yeah.
We need a motion for that.
I do.
I'll make a motion for 20 years.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and support for 20 years. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
So then we gotta decide how, Cole suggested a $2,000 balance, like on the main end. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
That is usually, well, it's between 1 and 2,000, I think that's 2,000 was my guess. Yeah. So those are the reserve funds in the account, when we usually do the drainage assessments, we have that report that says this is the balance in the fund. If there's any work that needs to be done, or if you want that fund to be up a little bit more, then we issue our assessments off of that. So, he was factoring, a reserve of 2,000 in the 4 funds that the warrants were issued out of. We're still trying to get clarification on, right now, we only have funds created for the 4, that the warrants were issued out of, but each of the laterals, we're trying to get clarification to see if we're required to make a fund for each of the laterals, because we're assessing per lateral. The system will allow us to assess a lateral for whatever dollar amount we need to assess it for, and then let us put it into the main whatever tile or fund or whatever that the warrant was issued out of. But, I have, no one's checking on a few things for me, and we wanted to get clarification to make sure that was the proper trail.
And the only reason that the law will require us, because we're just, for each lateral, we're just assessing those people in that lateral. So we might have to keep a little bit of a balance, certainly not much of a balance, because they were only charged for the reclassification work, except for lateral 2 and DD number 9, they were charged for more. But down the road, if they ever had repairs, then we would just charge that lateral, those people in that lateral, except for the whole district would not be assessed again. Does that make sense? So those people that we collected the lateral for, we had to keep that balance separate, so it doesn't, if we kept a balance.
So if we have to create funds for each of those laterals, then we would likely factor in a reserve for each of those accounts too, I assume.
Yeah, but I didn't know what,
But then that would add to the assessment amount, so, these are estimated numbers. I sent these with Cole yesterday too, and he was gonna double check a few things. I was kinda questioning a few of the laterals, so he was gonna go back and do some comparison to make sure everything was issued out of the right ones and everything, so, but off of the numbers that he gave me off of these sheets is where I got the dollar amounts per parcel. So if we do need to have a fund for each of the laterals, and then we'll probably factor a reserve off of that, so that reserve amount will get added to the assessment too, so.
we would
But-
need those laterals.
How do they do that in other drainage districts? Do they assess for each lateral?
Well, we don't, this is kind of like, we only had one other ditch that we have laterals for, so this is kind of strange. Yeah.
I think as they get reclassified, then they become separated off on
Oh, sure.
laterals, and then they get, yeah, so most of ours, like like she said, most of ours, I think this is only the second and third ones that have laterals, and there's one other ditch.
But I would
And his
think,
recommendation was for how much?
well, 2,000, like the main open ditch, and, but I think those laterals, I wouldn't think we would need much more than 500, because if there's ever, there's ever work that major work that has to be done, we would just do a stamp boring again, and we wouldn't need $2,000 balance, and those laterals that just got charged for the reclassification, to me, just a very small balance, if any, for those.
Yeah, but the complicated, those are the ones that didn't get any attention
Yeah.
through this whole
Yeah, I
process,
know.
unfortunately.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cole did indicate though, he said that the flow from those should be much easier now that this work has been done on the main one, so,
Won't be as much pressure.
yeah. But,
And then the other drainage ditch, I think that we have several funds for, we're still in the red, but we can't assess on it because we have one person doing a waiver on it. He's still paying on the waiver, so, that considers into that factor as well. Even though it looks in the red, we're still okay because, yeah, and the checks, are issued in $5,000 increments, so once the money comes in, then she will be redeeming the warrants in the $5,000 increment value. But some of them, have been stamped warrants for probably 2 years.
yeah.
2 years or so, so 6% and two,
Well, some of them are at 6.5%,
Oh, yeah, and then changed it, so. We just need to know what you want as a reserve in those laterals, and then in the main open ditch, if you want what Cole suggested, $2,000 balance, or if you want,
I said 2,500 in the laterals. To me, that sounds like money.
I would probably go a little more on the laterals, but that's, I'm okay with 500 too.
it's just so hard, because we don't know how it's all gonna affect.
Well, Jason's comment, those are the ones
Yeah,
that
that's true.
are gonna get the attention probably.
If you wanna go more than 500, do it.
Thoughts? Ed, what are your thoughts?
You gotta have something in there, so
Yeah.
I think Cole's assessment of the $2,000 would probably be about right.
And
What?
then for each of the laterals, what do you think? Sorry.
No, I was gonna,
Yeah, for the laterals,
2,000 in each one of the laterals?
yep.
Well, some of the laterals, some of the laterals only have like 4 landowners, and not that, like this one, there's only 2 different landowners, but there's 4 parcels. This one only has.
What's the typical repair in a lateral? It's usually around $1,000 or anything to go out and fix anything out there for broken tile.
No, that's, yeah, I agree, should we go with 1,000
Sure.
in the laterals?
Yep.
Jason, your thoughts? All right, do we need a motion for that, or
Well,
or you kinda wait to see?
maybe make a motion, and then next week we'll have to, approve that, or resolution to approve the percentages,
Okay.
so like 2,000 in the main open ditch, and DD number 9, lateral 2,
Cole had reserves down for DD 9 main tile for 2,000, and DD 43 main tile for 2,000, and 43 main open ditch for 2,000, but for lateral 2, he only had 1,000.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Sounds
for
good.
the lateral 2, just 1,000, and then,
Yep.
okay, and then all the other laterals, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the other question is on that forecasted warrant interest, those amounts, is there any tweaking to that, or do we just leave it as he had factored it? So, it kind of has a weird little schedule that he followed on some of these, so this one, for instance, was DD 43 main tile, the projected levy total was $388,000. And the warrant interest for that one, he's forecasting $71,745.42. And that is factoring that whole $388,000 at 6% for a year. So like everyone wavers, which not everyone qualifies for waiver, but that would be everyone wavering. And then the second year, it is 80% of that 388, the reduction. And then The third year is 67%, fourth year is 50%, then 33, then 25, then 12.5, then 6.25, and it goes all the way down for up to 10 years. Then the last year, 1.5625% of that. So that's how they arrived at that warrant interest total, so, I don't know.
That's gonna be plenty high.
Well, that's what I thought, and this other one is 164,000, just for forecasted warrant interest.
It's just so hard till we know who's gonna waiver and who's not, that's our problem.
Right.
And we're not gonna know that until
Yeah, we have
the
to,
waivers. We have to do all this first before we even know.
What's that?
We analyze the assessments annually, don't we? So,
They'll get, I don't know if they'll get a statement annually, they'll get one statement for the waiver, giving them the option to waive, and they either have to sign it
And Harold.
or don't sign it, I believe. They have to turn it in to Becky if they wanna do the waiver within 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but my thinking, if we think that's a little high, why don't we just start lower, and a year or 2 or 3 years down the road, we analyze all the drainage districts and the assessments, maybe can't we add some then? Or is that?
Yeah, then we reassess them, but if they, yeah, you could,
Yeah,
or what were you thinking?
I didn't know we could until after everything was paid for. I might be
Oh.
wrong on that.
Oh,
I might be wrong on that.
this is my first time waivering, so that could be true, that could be a caveat to it, I don't know.
Well, that new assessment would just be another bill due, I guess, separate.
Down the
from
road,
this
yeah.
waiver then, right?
Yeah, down the road.
So then those that already paid it off would just have a new assessment based upon that change. And those that are still using the waiver would have an additional charge at that point. But would it be a whole lot different than factoring it up in up front?
Well, I wonder if it goes by project though, because if it's the same project, if we would have assessed more, or if we, some of them, if they're just under the threshold to make a waiver, if we're assessing for the same project, if their initial plus this new assessment for that same project would have put them over and they could have wavered, would that make a difference? I don't know.
It just,
No,
if we factor in.
Just not because it's interest at that point. You're not going off of the project price. It was the
But at the same time, I'd hate to assess everybody for, $160,000 or $150,000 extra in interest, and then we have like a huge account balance, and we have to,
Yeah, so we have more than our 2,000.
yeah, I mean, that's I don't know.
That's the way I'd favor is reduce that and not run the risk of having a big balance in there.
Do you have a formula for reduction on that?
Maybe figure the interest for 10 years instead of 20.
Yeah, we're still.
We kind of
Well,
zeroed
that's
out
what
at
he
10,
did
right?
go, yeah, he
Tell
stopped
them to
at
cut it
10.
out at 5.
Or name names.
And then this one he stopped at, this one he stopped at 5.
Waiver one.
But it was 2 to 1.
That's great. Okay. So, are we favoring reduction a little bit in the interest is that what we're saying? Reduce that a little bit, so we don't have too much of a fund balance in there, and let's hope and pray. This is my first big project.
Yeah.
We've never had this big a project
Say we do
before.
have a big fund balance in there, can we just give them some money back, or how do you?
Drainage is different, I don't know how drainage
I
works.
know, that's why, I don't know.
You can check on that,
Yeah.
see what I can find out.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know if we can do that or not.
Okay.
But I can have a first and a second with those fund balances, projections,
I'll first.
Got a motion?
Support.
And that would be reducing the interest calculation as well, so I'll support that.
Got a motion and support. You got that down, Michelle?
So what are we reducing that interest calculation to? That I don't have down.
I can do this by 40%.
Like 40% on all of the,
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Who second that?
motion to adjourn. How about you, Ed?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Had to wake you up again?
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.